Welcome back to the Retro Game Club podcast. This is episode 142, season 5, episode 6, which I worded very weirdly. I am Rob, and with me is someone else who forgot how to podcast, Hugh.
Yeah. Which one of these is the microphone?
Exactly. Yes. What have you been up to for 6 weeks?
So 6 weeks. So that's February. I don't know. I put in the notes. I have a couple like this year. I'm getting so many incredibly long games.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a bunch of RPGs I want to play coming out this year, and of course Breath of the Wild too. And that flood of games really starts in just like a couple days, like March, like in a couple days, the next like game in the Trail series comes out, and that's like an 80-hour game, and then Breath of the Wild's like a month later, and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that downtime, I've been trying to finish a couple short games, games that are 6 hours at most, right?
Yeah.
So I powered through Shantae, Risky's Revenge. It was a DS game that I believe, what did I play it on? I played it on Switch. It was ported over to Switch. It's basically Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap.
Okay.
It's almost,
that's a good thing.
Similar game. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's just, if you like Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap, this is a Shantae game you'd probably like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played through the 2 Bonk adventure games on Game Boy.
Both of them?
Games, both
really?
of them, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. They're, I don't remember which were released in America, but I bought the Japanese versions of both a long time ago when you could get them for like $1.
Mm-hmm.
And they're okay. The first, they look like Bonk's Adventure, but they're completely different levels. And the second game plays a little bit differently because it has like, Bonk has like transformations and stuff.
What kind of transformations?
Well, like one of them, he looks kind of like a hipster, and I don't know what powers he has. He has like a beanie cap and stuff, is what I mean.
Mm.
So stuff like that. And there's like a mummy-looking transformation.
So does he throw like IPAs or something?
No, I couldn't tell any difference really. The transformations all seem to be kind of the same. There's, I think, a vampire-looking one in there too.
How is it without a turbo button? Because that's kind of important in Bonk.
It doesn't have. So like in the original Bonk games, you'd use the turbo button to like make long jumps.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just spin, over large areas. And these levels are all really short, so you don't need it really.
Okay.
Overall, they're not bad. The first game I think is better. The second game, the level design kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of levels that are short but really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can import those, or they show up on Nintendo, Game Boy, on Switch. That was my other thing. Like, while you were out, like Game Boy came to Nintendo Switch, and like I know I'm going to sound really like spoiled when I say this, but the game selection so far is pretty underwhelming, which is hard to say because it has like 4 or 5 of the absolute best games ever made for the system.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you just found a box of Game Boy games at a yard sale, it's a better selection than what's on the Game Boy on Switch right now.
Yeah, you want some weird stuff in there, right?
Yeah. The only weird thing really is Alone in the Dark, which I erased from my memory that it had a Game Boy Color version.
I have been hearing the Game Boy Advance stuff has been great because with the Mario games, it includes all the levels that you needed the card reader or whatever for.
Okay.
So you get some levels that you would have never, like chances of you playing them were like 0% pretty much. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I heard the emulation
I have all the
is
cards,
great.
but I don't have the reader.
Now we know what to get you for Christmas.
Yeah. What else? Oh, and then I wrote an article about the Grand Theft Auto remakes. Mostly about weird bugs in those games because I played through those kind of during like December, January. And I assume you haven't played the Grand Theft Auto remakes, right?
No, only the originals.
Yeah. My net conclusion is that you probably should just play the originals. They're not bad. It's just they're so incredibly buggy. And not buggy in like a good way. Like the original Grand Theft Auto games had bugs and they were kind of fun. Like you could skip a mission maybe or end the game early or something.
Mm-hmm.
But here it's like you're walking and you'll just fall into the ground.
Yeah. Or what was it? You can make your car the width of the road just by shaking it a certain way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't try that. I don't know if you have to have like motion controls for that or something. But yeah, just a lot of like really... I mean, like, for example, in the San Andreas remake, there's a property you can buy, but the icon to buy it like spawns over the middle of a river. It like doesn't spawn in the right location. And to like hit the property icon, you basically have to like parachute into it or get a jetpack. Like, and the icon's not anywhere near the property that you're buying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like one of these. I don't know. I called it a literally not one single person tested this bug.
I believe it. Yeah.
Because you just wouldn't ship a game with that kind of bug. So that's what I think.
Rockstar would.
Well, yeah, whatever hack company they hired to produce these remakes,
Yeah.
right? So that's a little disappointing. I mean, it was a fun experience. I figured I got my money's worth by being able to write an article about them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then, like last week, this is not retro game related, but my wife had her fifth published book come out. So that's it's called Too Wrong to Be Right. It is a kind of romantic comedy book. So you can get it at like Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's a physical, like you can purchase it and carry it around in public book.
Cool.
Cool, yeah. Or if you're like the nephew of like a Netflix producer or something, pass it along to them.
Yeah, for sure. Or could it be a Hallmark movie?
It could, yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of her stuff you would have to replace a couple scenes,
Mm-hmm.
if you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
to make it a Hallmark book, Hallmark movie. But otherwise, yeah, this would fit. This story is definitely the kind of thing you would see in like a Hallmark Channel movie. Again, replacing some scenes with like the couple decorating a tree instead of other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's how they make those movies, really.
Oh, I'm certain of it. Yeah.
All right. Hey, what have you been up to?
Oh man, let's see.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I was in Sydney for the past over 5 weeks and it was fantastic. I love that town. Feels like home. It was great seeing friends and all that. Did a bunch of touristy stuff, did a bunch of non-touristy stuff. Really, really felt like we were living there. So I loved it. And my whole family loved it. And while there on my downtime, I beat Devil's Crush for the first time.
Mhm.
And, if you listen to this podcast, Devil's Crush is one of my all-time favorite games. I will give it a 9 out of 10. And it's still one of my all-time favorite games, even though it's a 9. The music's amazing. The graphics and art are second to none. And I think my biggest gripe with it, the reason why I docked it a point, was there's virtually no ending. It's like a 2-second. I don't even know if there's animation in the ending, really. There's some explosions and then I won't tell the rest, but it's really just an image. And yeah, so that was kind of disappointed, but I mean,
were you expecting like a 30-minute cinematic ending for a pinball game?
Just something. Just give me something. I mean, they really phoned it in. I think they really didn't think anyone would beat it. I that's how it felt.
Okay.
And if anyone listening to this knows how to get the orange ball in Devil's Crush, please let me know. So, this was a game club game once, and if you don't remember, if you beat one of the bonus levels, your ball turns blue for 2 minutes or 1 minute, I forget what it is, and you get double the points. So the way to beat the game quick is to try to quickly get into one of the easier bonus levels while you're blue. You get so many points that way, and then also you cash out your bonus points, your 10x multiplier when you're blue too.
Okay.
Anyway, loved it. The next game I played was our game club game, so I'll get into that later. And I did it. I only brought the Analog Pocket with me to Sydney. So in our game club podcast topic, I'll talk about that. So not right now, but I made a trek out to a place in Sydney called Gamesman. It's a retro and modern and computer store. Really computer peripherals. Like it had the crazy giant like car setups for your computer if you like playing racing games and stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, they have some like a little retro museum in there, and I'll tell you, like, there are like no game stores in Australia in terms of retro, like none. This was the closest I could find, and it was kind of sad. They had a bunch of stuff, but none of it was for sale, really. So, like, I think you would find more stuff at like half off books or something like that.
Okay. So do you think that is because they did not have a lot of these systems when they were new in Australia?
No, they had them all. Master System and Genesis were huge there. They got a Nintendo that looked like ours, but was PAL. So I guess pretty much a European Nintendo. Mm-hmm. They got all the handhelds we did. I want to say it's because it's nice and everyone wants to be outside, but California has tons of retro shops.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Australia. I guess I worded that badly. Like Australia obviously got all the systems, or some set of systems, but I mean, it wasn't like, was it as common in Australia in the 80s and 90s for people to have systems as?
Oh, yeah, that I don't know. When I was there in 2000, I realized that, because Sydney and Melbourne are giant cities far away from a lot of the rest of the world, Japan would use either of the cities to test out some new technology, which was pretty cool. So I assumed they would do that in the 80s too and 90s, but who knows? But anyway, I'll post my little trip to this store. I took a ton of pictures. I'll post that on social media. But yeah, it looks like everyone there kind of buys stuff online for retro stuff. What else do I have here? Jeez. Did you watch that Tetris movie trailer?
No.
It looks good. It looks fun.
Okay. Yeah. Does it have The Rock?
No, and it doesn't have Chris Pratt either.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe they'll CG them in later in post. But I think it looks fun. I mean, it's about getting the game to America. I'm sure it's very drama, exaggerated, but whatever. What else do I want to talk about here? I think that's about it. Most of my other stuff we'll cover later on, but I did get my Mario movie tickets already for April 5th.
All right.
We'll see. My son's really excited, and I have a feeling just because it's Mario, it'll sell out early, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, I suspect it will, for better or worse, do well.
Yeah, I think it's going to do very well, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to see it.
How come?
Because video game movies are usually not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main reason.
They are getting better. That Pikachu, the Detective Pikachu movie, I thought was great, and I don't even like Pokemon.
Okay.
Sonic is fun. It really has nothing to do with Sonic, but they're fun. They're kind of funny. My kids love them. And so Mario, I don't know. I'll drink a beer or two and eat some popcorn. There's worse ways I could spend my time, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I did see the Winnie the Pooh movie. That I will waste money on.
Yeah, you enjoyed that, right? It was a fun time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's not good. It's a garbage slasher movie. It's the kind of thing you would have seen in 1987,
mm-hmm,
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really no different than just like a movie you would have rented in 1987, 89, somewhere in there. That was just like generic, sorority house slasher or something like that, right?
I hope they do the same thing to Mickey Mouse, because I think that IP will be up soon.
Yeah, I think it's Steamboat Mickey specifically.
That's even better.
Yeah, because like Winnie the Pooh, they couldn't include like all the characters.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, they couldn't include like Tigger because that was a later edition,
mm-hmm.
which would have improved the movie. I mean, almost anything would have improved the movie. It's not a good movie, but if you like bad slasher movies, it's just fine.
Yeah, like if you watch Pluto or Tubi a lot, watch this movie.
Yeah, right, and I do watch both of those a lot. Like Chopping Mall is a better movie. in terms of like theatrical presentations. That's a better movie.
I still have to see that one.
Yeah, that is, I contend, maybe the most underrated 80s horror movie.
Well, should I power through some news here?
Yeah. I was going to suggest you read all the headlines, and if there's any I feel like talking about.
Yeah, I'll go through these so this one I actually purchased for reasons unknown, but there is a new CRT neckboard for the Macintosh SE, which is a strange thing because you also have to buy a cap kit for it. It doesn't come capped already. But I figured like, hey, my SE might die one day, so why not? Moving along, one of my favorite ones. Also, that one was on Hackaday, so is this one as well. A brand new Colecovision console on a breadboard. And this is cool to see how simple the Coleco is and how they did not use color-coded cables for their breadboard, so that must have been a nightmare. But this thing works, and it seems like a cool project. What else we got here? GameCube and Wii can now run on the latest Xbox consoles, which is nice. You can upscale with HD textures and upscale to 1440p. Let's see, moving along. Castlevania Symphony of the Night Decompilation. I cannot say that word. I will never be able to say that word, but they decompiled it, and you can recompile it in... Is it recompiled in C? I think so. But the idea to this is to make it easier to modify. And this is still on GitHub, by the way. It's still up there because you need the original CD to, or ISO at least, to pull data from it. But you know, the idea is eventually this might be able to play on Windows and stuff like that, or make HD versions. I think that's very cool. And then, in similar news, Zelda: A Link to the Past can now be compiled on Windows and the Switch, and they're also trying to do like Sega 32X and PlayStation. So this is from ASM2C. They've improved that it is so accurate that if you recompile the C code without changing anything, you can, you know, swap save states and stuff like that from different emulators. So they did add a few features like widescreen and pixel shading, I think. That has not been taken down yet either.
Yeah, I kind of... These are like a banned topic for me because like they're going to get taken down. We can argue whether or not it's philosophically like one, these projects are a bad idea. I think you're not very smart for taking these on because you're going to end up getting hit with a lawsuit. And whether or not you are technically correct, it doesn't matter. Nintendo has better lawyers than you. They
aren't using anything, and these have been up. These were the first stories I posted.
I'm
just 5 weeks
saying,
now.
Man, it's almost certain they're going to get taken down. This is why I never like these stories. There's no chance that this stays up for very long.
We'll see. I should do a calendar reminder for a year from now see if they're up.
I mean, like Nintendo is very aggressive about taking this kind of stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably just hasn't been on their radar yet.
Well, more from Hackaday. Mm-hmm. You know what a LEAPFROG is?
Yeah. My kids had one when they were young.
Well, now they can play RetroArch on it. So it does everything from NES through like MAME. I guess a few PS1 games work. I've never played with one.
I can't imagine it's a good experience.
It's probably similar to the like the PSP hack. Like feeling that way, right?
Well, I mean the problem is this isn't like a powerful system. I really thought it was like it's running like an NES on a chip. Like the games aren't very advanced. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know. Like
they got PS1 working about
like,
now.
Right, if we were doing an episode like the worst way to play retro games, this would be very high.
We have another story coming up that might be a little higher. Didn't you have a TRS-80 or no?
For a little while we had one. Yeah.
Well, now you can emulate. There's a new site where that has tens of thousands of 15,000 pieces of software for it, and you can play it on the site or download it already coded for most or formatted for most emulators. I never really played with a TRS-80. It was just a little bit too
it's not a
ancient
great
for me.
computer. Yeah, it's really underpowered for gaming. Like, yeah. So I mean, Tandy would eventually make computers that were more gaming oriented. You know, the Coco and even the Tandy 1000. But this really struck me more as a business computer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. I think they put some games on it just to try to get it so kids would want it at home.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. When I went to junior high, they had a TRS-80 lab too.
That's interesting. Most labs would be Apple, right?
Yeah. I didn't say this was a good choice. School isn't advocating for this. It was just that's what they had, was a TRS-80 lab. And I don't really remember what we did in that lab. It's probably a traumatic experience. I was probably well ahead of the other kids in the class, for your mandatory lesson, and then everybody hated me.
Yeah. I was kind of the same way too. The next story I have strong feelings about. The Polymega is now an app.
Okay. Was it a real system? I can't remember if that was real
not really. Some people got it. Now you could buy it for the insane price of $550. I think it was originally half that. And the cool thing about this is, they did a lot for their own emulation, and so you'll be able to use that for free, but to get other things like CRT overlays and stuff like that, you would pay a subscription fee for them. They also would save states, I think, and stuff like that for you. You also have a way to, I guess, rip your own CDs and stuff like that. If I'm reading this right or understanding this right, I don't know about this. Just open source this and go away. That's kind of how I figure. And the whole Polymega niche was being able to use the CDs, the little attachments. Use your CDs and carts, and you don't have that anymore. So,
yeah, I guess it never occurred to me that this system actually released.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it occurred to them either. So, file this under Amico.
Wait, so you didn't buy one of these? I hope.
No.
Okay, wow.
I know
that
means
weird,
the
system's really, really in bad shape, right?
I probably would have. The original design for the system, the intent was it to be an FPGA, which would have been cool. I would have been down with that.
Yeah.
But then they just went emulator.
Yeah, I just stopped following it.
Yeah.
So it never really occurred to me that it actually launched.
Oh, your life is better for that. That was on RetroArch. So is this. I think I'm pronouncing this right. The BigPEmu is a Jaguar emulator, and now it supports Jaguar CD, for better or for worse also.
Okay. Yeah.
Those little credit card readers that have color screens that all the stores have now?
You're supposed to tap or something.
Yeah. Can you guess what game you could play in it now?
Is it going to be Doom?
It's Doom.
Okay. Those are probably more powerful than the LEAPSTER.
That was going to say, yeah. What else? Oh, Apple released the Lisa source code as they open sourced it.
Yeah, I think I included that. This is it's kind of a sticky one though, because the license is weird. It's under a educational use or personal use only license, so you couldn't produce anything with it. If for some reason you thought you could make a commercially viable Apple Lisa OS or something, you can't use this source code for that.
Like a Lisa Mini Classic?
Yeah. You couldn't even release a free version. It's like a license. You can basically play with it in the comfort of your own home, but you can't really create a project using any of that code.
How quaint.
Yeah, I don't know why whatever. It's Apple.
It's stupid. Yeah. I mean, even in Adobe released their Photoshop 1.0 source code where you could pretty much do anything with it. KansasFest. We haven't talked about in a while. I guess that's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, every year I kind of debate going.
You should.
Kansas, I guess it's not. Where is it again? I mean, it's Kansas. I understand.
It's at one of the little colleges, right?
I'm not that dumb. I understand where the state of Kansas. Okay. Rockhurst University in Kansas City. Let's Google map that real quick.
There is nothing around it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of these college towns and rural states are like that, right?
I think the reason why I haven't gone yet is A, it's 5 days. That's a bit long for me to go to something like that. And B, you stay in a dorm and you share the dorm room with someone else. And
You don't have to, do you?
I mean, I guess you could get a hotel. Are there even hotels around there? I don't know.
Hold on. I opened in the wrong browser tab. Give me a minute here.
Don't get me wrong. I would still love to go.
All right, starting point. Sorry, I had one thing open in like a private tab, and Google Maps doesn't have my home address in a private tab. It is a 7-hour, 50-minute drive, mostly through northern Missouri, which is
not the best.
That's a rough drive. This is actually looks like the university looks like it's kind of, it's in Kansas City, right? I see next to it, assuming I'm going to the right college, there is a place called Go Chicken Go next to it.
Okay.
There's a Whole Foods not too far. Black Hole Bakery. Oh, wait. Hotels nearby. Let's see. It's churning. Hold on.
Sir Howard Johnson. I feel like there has to be.
You know what? The nearest hotel is like an hour away.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. It's like in the middle of downtown Kansas City, and this is like on the outskirts. And they have a football team in Kansas City. How do they not have hotels?
You can maybe rent an RV.
And even so, like the only 2 hotels that are showing up right now are, oh wow, Holiday Inn Kansas City, Roadway Inn. Roadway Inn. There's a body under the bed. Like, that's a bad time. I did not realize there were so few hotels in Kansas City.
Yeah. Hence the mandatory dorms.
Maybe a listener can write in and explain the hotel situation. Like, yeah, these are 2 hotels that are right by the airport. Usually, like, by any airport, there's like
100
hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, like, is this some Missouri thing? Do they have like some kind of like anti-hotel law there?
Possibly, yeah. But anyway, this story, Roger Wagner donated his collection. Apparently he marketed a bunch of products like the Writer's Choice and the Merlin Macro Assembler and a few other things. And he has a giant collection of software and Apple II stuff, cards, weird things with Apple II. So he donated it to them. So that is pretty cool. And if you want to see the collection, not linked in our notes, is just Google it or YouTube it. There's a cool YouTube video of them going through it. And then Zach put up here that the Game Boy version of Tetris has been ported to Apple II, which is pretty insane. It's a pretty good feat, especially getting the music running at the same time. And I watched a video of it. The video is before they got the music working, and it looked like a really good port. But that is news. That's our Missouri news of the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to I'm too busy going on Airbnb right now. This is really shocking to me how few hotels there are in what I believe to be a major city.
Oh, is there an Airbnb around the hotel?
That's what I'm trying to get to. I have to find the address. Hold on. All right. Airbnb. I mean, $80 a night in summer in like a major city. That's
What's the problem? Yeah.
like there's photos of this hotel, of this place. It's a 2-bedroom home. And it's $80 a night, which, if you've done Airbnb, that's pretty cheap. But as I'm flipping through the photos, one of the photos, there's just like some creepy dude looking in the window. And I can't tell if he comes with the house.
You have to put that in the show notes.
I gotta get back to find that photo. It was, there's literally just like a dude hovering out the window. And I'm like, okay, well, this one's, tell me if I'm wrong here. I'll send you this link. Do we have chat in this thing we're using? What is this thing?
Yes.
Google Hangouts? Or
yes.
And there's a chat button somewhere on here?
Yes.
That was just really like good content. Let's see, whiteboard, layout, captions. Oh, there's chat. Okay. See if you get the photo that I got here. It's just some dude with no shirt on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, that's really near the campus. There's like someone has like a guest room in their house that looks decent for $95 a night. Or you can get there's a close one. It's a 5-bedroom house for $148 a night.
And if you have more people from KFest that don't want to stay on campus, you could, you'd have your own room and stuff.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there's a guy with no shirt on staring through the window of this house too.
Yeah, he owns all the Airbnbs in the area.
This looks like it's a townhouse because there's like a big park. There's a parking lot in front, like a full-size big parking lot. This place looks like you probably won't get killed in your sleep. Okay.
Yeah, you'll probably just be filmed in your sleep.
Yeah, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah.
All right. So, was there anything left in the news?
No, we're on to a topic, right?
Okay, good. I've decided I'm not going to KansasFest after reading the logistics of going.
So, since I was traveling for a very long time, we decided to do a topic of our favorite systems to travel with. Yeah, I think this will be very... I think you could guess what will really be our favorite picks. Mine is the Analog Pocket, since I already traveled with it and it was great. Definitely with the OpenFPGA installed, so you could just play ROMs. The good is that, you could play arcade games, 2600 through Neo Geo. Great battery life, like really, really good battery life. And I wrote save states in here, but I couldn't figure out how those worked. I could be wrong. Those may have just been pictures I was taking. So here's the bad, and here's this shocked me about it. So it charges by USB-C, and there's a headphone port. The USB-C does not work as a headphone port too, which I don't think I've ever seen on any console that has a USB-C port. Or really anything that does that, it doesn't work for audio too. So that sucks. But I can't recommend the Pocket enough. I mean, you love yours, right?
Yeah, that's why I played the Bonk games on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It feels great. It's a great size. I do think that they could have made the screen a little bit bigger with the console being the same size. Like, it's pretty big edges around it. One of yours? We could kind of take turns here.
Yeah. What did I say? So I said my first note here is that I only travel with systems that I would not be heartbroken to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my systems tend to be cheaper ones.
Mm-hmm.
My first pick was the DS Lite. I have a little skinny DS Lite, and mostly because of the battery life. So I've used that on like a 14-hour trip before. And the battery lasted the whole time. I think it's advertised as like a 10-hour battery, but if you don't have the brightness turned up really high, I think it's actually much longer than that.
And then if you drank the water in India, you could use it in the toilet for the 3 days you'll spend in the bathroom.
Yeah, I did not drink the water in India, but I did make the mistake of having like some fresh mango there. Well, I mean, mango is filled with this watery fluid, right?
Yeah.
That is the same water that you're not supposed to drink.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that lesson the hard way. And then one of my coworkers, they give you like pills to like knock that out right away. And the pills do work, although you still don't feel great afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my coworkers invited me over to his room. He opens up his suitcase, and one half was just granola bars and beef jerky. and he's explained that the first time he came to India, he got violently ill. Mm-hmm. And that he was not going to touch one item of food the entire time he was there.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so I grabbed a couple granola bars and lived off granola bars for the rest of my trip.
That's funny.
I decided to stick with I'm not going to touch any food in this country again.
Wow. My next pick was similar to yours, but it's a new 3DS XL with the R4 card, which is the DS emulator card. And well, I'd say emulator, but the 3DS can play DS games, so it just has ROMs on it. Anyway, the 3DS just has an amazing library. I do think it's one of the greatest consoles ever in terms of its library. Again, really good battery life. The bad is that I have a grip for the 3DS that makes it feel a little bit better, but also it still hurts my hands. So with a grip, without a grip, the 3DS hurts my hands. And then a little bit bad about the R4 card, it does emulate, 2600. Well, it emulates pretty much any 8-bit system, and it just does it horribly. So yeah, you were talking about an R4 card recently, right?
Yeah, mostly for my youngest kid because she's been really into the Pokemon games, right? And that's not a good series to get into later on in life.
Because it's expensive?
Because like a loose copy of like a DS game in that series is, I don't know, $120.
Yeah.
If you want one that looks like it's been chewed on by a dog, maybe you can get it for like $110. So, I mean, it's the kind of thing where like if they did remakes, we would just buy those.
Yeah, well,
if there's any way to legally buy those games, we would own them all.
I can't say enough nice things about the R4 card. They're so cheap and they just work. And they're so cheap if they break, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more worried about whether or not they're going to like break your system. But I have like, I know this sounds like a first world problem. I have like 4 Nintendo DSs. So I guess I could sacrifice one of them and try it.
Yeah. Well, what's your next one?
I wrote PSP with UMD movies.
Nice.
So I realize they have Wi-Fi on planes now, but you have to pay like $9,000. I don't know. What does Wi-Fi on a plane cost? I don't know.
Oh, well, Qantas didn't have it on our 14-hour flights to Sydney, so
okay.
Wouldn't even know.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was shocking.
Okay. Yeah, that's bad. So like the PSP with UMDs, first of all, the movie selection on PSP is like, I call it the best and worst of the mid-90s to mid-zeros. So it's like, yeah, it's got, every episode of Jackass, but then it also has every Tom Green movie, right?
Yeah, I think I had the Shrek movies and I had the Hitchhiker Guide movie.
Okay. It's got like the first maybe 3 Harry Potter movies. Has like the first season of the Doctor Who reboot.
And remember, the movies will straight up be missing scenes.
They're a little bit shorter perhaps, but maybe it's for the better. Movies are too long anyways.
Yeah.
So I like that because like movie selection on Airplane is usually pretty bad. I think the last Airplane I took, I'm trying to think, I could make a list of like bad movies I saw on airplanes, but like the last plane I was on, they were playing, what's the new Harry Potter movies that aren't called Harry Potter? It has like some other guy.
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, it was one of those. And I can't even tell you how bad that movie was.
Yep.
Have you watched those movies?
I watched the first one and part of the second one, and it's a case of like all the actors are great and they're really trying hard, but it's just bad.
It's just bad. Yeah.
This is bad.
Yes. Right. It's like seeing Natalie Portman in the Star Wars movies, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know she's capable of like winning like a best actress if she hasn't already, but in this particular role, there's nothing she can do.
Yeah. You could just see the pain on her face.
Right. Yeah. That's, and I guess same for like Ewan McGregor. Did I get the name right?
Yeah.
Who plays Obi-Wan? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that one because it's a good way to just watch movies that you actually like.
My next one, I kind of have 2 honorable mentions. The first being the original Game Boy. People say, you shouldn't give your kids iPads to shut them up. Well, first of all, if you're saying that, you should shut up. And second of all, my parents gave me a Game Boy to shut me up on long trips. So I have fond memories of sitting in the back of an Aerostar driving to Florida, playing my Game Boy and churning through batteries. And then the other mention is my buddy does a lot of business trips, and he'll take his the newer mini classic systems with him and just plug them into HDMI. And so because of him, I tried that once, and the Indianapolis hotel I was in, the screen was so close to the wall that I couldn't get to the HDMI port, so it was a big fail. What's
That's a bad.
Yeah.
So my other one I like is if I'm like on a business trip, and I have to stay at a hotel for like a week. I like to bring the what I call them the junky at games Genesis systems
instead of the mini classics.
They're the mini classics, yeah. Because if my hotel room gets robbed or something, I don't care.
They wouldn't even take that. They'd probably see it and not even take it.
They wouldn't bother taking it. That's true. So I like those. They usually have the old school AV hookups, which every TV still has.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe eventually I'll get stuck in a hotel room that only has like HDMI, and then I won't be able to play my my games. I mean, the emulation is terrible, right? They're not good systems, but they have a decent selection, and they're just fine for like I want to go back to a hotel room and be left alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think this is why I hope the next Switch. I think I've talked about this on this podcast. I hope the next Switch is, and I'm not making a joke. I am dead serious when I say this. So judge me all you want. I hope the next Switch is the Switch U, where the docking station, obviously hooks up to HDMI to the TV and stuff like that, but it could still have like a fast Wi-Fi wireless video over it, so you can kind of use it like you played the Wii U, where you had the TV as your main and you had the controller with the screen on it, so it would look like a Switch, you know what I mean? But it would play like the Wii U. So that would be cool to be able to bring to hotels and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could also bring like a streaming, like if the Google's idea actually worked, right? Could you bring like a Chromecast and play your games on that?
And Apple TV, has some games too. So you could do that. Yeah. That's actually a good idea. But I think we have a social media question later about all this stuff. But this is a fun topic. I liked this one.
Yeah. And I got a flight coming up soon. I don't know what system I'm going to bring for it. I have like a 4-hour flight coming up in a few weeks.
I would just bring the Pocket.
No, because I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
The trip I'm on, I would say, higher likelihood of something getting lost or broken than the average trip.
Well, we have some game club discussion. So mine's up there
Unfortunately,
first.
I played these games 6 weeks ago, so this is gonna be rough.
Yeah, well, mine I'm still kind of playing, So I did Neutopia on the TurboGrafx 16, played on the Analog Pocket. This is the Analog Pocket podcast, everyone. And I think I only played this for a few minutes when it first came out. I never really owned this one back in the day. I do own it now. And I own the second one too. Anyway, I don't know about this game. It's not bad. What bugs me about it is that, so this is a Zelda-like, an original Zelda-like. You're in the land of Neutopia. And I forget your guy's name. Starts with a J. But the princess was stolen by Dearth, the evil dude Dearth. And he broke up the gems that save the land or give them, I don't know, wisdom. I don't know what they do. They're pretty much Chaos Emeralds. But there's 8 of them. He scattered them across the land for reasons, and you have to get them back to get to the different, parts of the lands, and then eventually murder him. And like I said, it's a Zelda-like that came out in 1989 for the TG16. And it looks nice. It looks really nice, actually. And the further you get into it, I think the better the artwork gets. The soundtrack, I think, is really good. And what bugs me is that it's the little things that made Zelda a classic. And that's what this is missing, where, for example, do you know how when you play beat 'em up games like the Ninja Turtle games or a Double Dragon or something like that, if you're 1 pixel above or below it, you're not actually punching the enemy, but they can often still punch you. That's what happens in this, but it's with the sword, and it's not only up or down, it's left and right too. And it's really frustrating because your sword will kind of go over the monster instead of hitting it. It's really, really frustrating. You really have to get your aim good on it. And, as I progressed through it, it did grow on me, but I just beat boss 7. So I have 2 gems to get. And I stopped playing it for now because I got so frustrated, because here's what happens is when you die during a boss fight, you get put all the way back into the shrine. The shrine is the very beginning of the game. And often it could take you 8 to 12 minutes to get back to the boss. And that's if you know where you're going. This is really, really frustrating. There's really only one place you could purchase health that you could use during a boss fight, and that's pretty far away too. So, yeah, I like this game. If I didn't have a bunch of other stuff I wanted to play, I would have beat it by now. But I'll get back to it. I will beat it. I probably will beat it this month, but we'll see. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I didn't play it too much. I did actually finish this game way back in the 90s. I have a card of it, and I had a lot of free time back then. So I don't remember it real well, but yeah, I got kind of annoyed by the combat mechanics you talked about. What I didn't appreciate in the 90s is how weird it is that everybody has these really awesome underground homes.
Yes.
Pretty much in Zelda, occasionally you'd come across someone living underground and it looked like a cave.
Mm-hmm.
And here, it's these people have luxury homes with fireplaces in their basement. Can you have a fireplace in the basement? Isn't that
It's got to be some kind of hazard, but it's got to be some maybe there's some new age community in Arizona or something that's like this.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see that. I was out there last year, and I can imagine that for sure. Alice Springs, maybe something like that. You were just in Australia, right?
Well, in Australia, there's a bunch of opal mines, and they're turning some of them into high-end homes that are underground.
Yeah. Okay.
But do these people need to bomb their front door every time? Or do they get mad that I bombed it to go in?
Yeah, they do in Zelda, but they don't get mad in this one.
No, it's it happens all the time.
Yeah. Maybe it's some kind of extended quarantine world. I don't know.
So is this a game you like or don't like?
Overall, not really. I mean, it's the kind of game that makes you you ever, speaking of business trips, I live in the Chicago area. And sometimes you go on a business trip and people are like, oh, let's grab a pizza, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh man, this is really awful. And the first thing you want to do when you come home is have a good pizza, right? Or if you have a bad hamburger, you're like, man, I'm going to Portillo's the minute I get home, right? Mm-hmm. That's Neutopia for me. I played and I'm like, man, I would just rather be playing Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing really bad about it, but it's just kind of middle of the road.
Yeah.
But if you like action RPGs, definitely RGP. I will always mispronounce everything I say on this podcast. You put a mic in front of me and I can't talk about video games. But anyway, what was your game?
I did Pilotwings, which I definitely have not played in the past 4 weeks. I saw it on the Switch and just realized I've never really given it a real effort before. Mm-hmm. The problem is when you play it on the Switch, you have, the right side analog stick.
Mhm.
So I'm constantly trying to adjust the camera when I'm playing this game because the camera's sort of locked and it's like there's a lot of things in Pilotwings that would be easier if you could rotate the camera even a little bit.
Mhm.
And that's what kept messing me up. I think it actually looks pretty good still. I think it looks good. I think the music is great, but I just awful at this game. I could not pass anything. Like, I mean, I was really, really bad at this game.
It's not an easy game.
No. I mean, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, well, this looks really short. Like, how did people think this was worth $50 in 1991, right?
Mhm.
And you realize, oh, it is a long game because it's really, really difficult.
But somehow it is still relaxing for me. I don't know how.
Okay.
Not for you.
Relaxing is not the music, maybe.
Yeah.
But the experience of playing the game did not leave me in a happy place.
Did you watch this Darbian speedrun that I posted in the show notes?
I did not. No, I've watched like tool assisted speedruns, which are kind of fun.
I mean, yeah, this is not tool assisted, and yeah, he's doing like blind landings on moving platforms and stuff like that. It's just nuts. Just absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a different skill level than me.
So with this type of game, I don't know if this is a flight simulator or a mini game or both, but is there a game that, you know, when playing this, you're like, oh, I'd rather be playing a different game that's like this but better? Is there one that comes to mind?
No, I don't play a lot of flight sim games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wonder if like just regular flight sim would be better.
Could be. Or like Wii Sport Resort or whatever that one was.
Yeah, I played Wii Sport Resort, and I don't remember the flying game in that, but maybe I just skipped that one.
Well, what do you want to do for the next episode?
I'm gonna do Pac-Mania. So this is something, you know, last year was like kind of the year I got some really good collections.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the collections I liked a lot was that Pac-Man collection.
Mm-hmm.
It has Pac-Mania, and it's a game I only played a tiny little bit in the past, and I kind of want to get into it a little more.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to play that one. I think it's been like a year or two since I played it. And I'm going to do POW, Prisoner of War, on the NES.
Okay. But people can play any version of that game, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And and we have some feedback this episode. I mean, I'd be literally depressed if we didn't, because it's been 6 weeks since we've recorded. And, you know, a big thanks to Zach for taking care of all this. He also takes care of our socials, our link tree. He's in Discord more than I am. I keep trying to get in there more. If anyone has ideas on how to make our Discord more interesting, let me know. But yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff.
Wait, is Twitter still around? Did that shut down while we were gone? Or is that... This is a serious question. I know it sounds like I'm being facetious, but is that still around?
I think it's used to as Twitter's HR system, and
okay.
I guess if you're going to have a clan rally, you go there. I don't know what it's used for anymore.
Yeah, I'd read something, like I follow tech blogs, and I saw something about it being down or something, and I don't know if it was like down, or just temporarily down, or whatever.
I think it was down in Europe, and then something else didn't work, but yeah, we have some fun feedback this time. Nick writes in from Zach asked on social media your worst rentals from like Blockbuster and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
this is from the Homebrew Game Club podcast.
Yes. Yeah, that's a fun podcast too. Definitely listen to that one. One of his most disappointing ones of ratio, the best ratio of awesome box art to god awful gameplay was SNK's Athena for the NES, and I would definitely agree with this. The game had a gorgeous label. It looked like it be a great game like taking place in ancient Greece, but actually it was barely playable. You were like in an 8-bit sewer in digital dung, and to this day, he classifies it as worst game he's ever played, and it's been 30 years.
Okay. So first of all, the podcast, I would if you guys ever want me on, I will be happy to talk about my experiences. I'm not by any means like a big name in the scene, but I have developed a homebrew game.
Two.
I guess. I guess 2, maybe 3 by the end of the year.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just for fun. I'm not trying to make money, obviously. But also, I think he was at Midwest Gaming Classic last year, so that's only like 2 or 3 weeks away now.
Oh,
so.
that's right.
Yeah, it's first weekend in April. I think it's also WrestleMania weekend, so there's some hard choices I have to make there.
Well, it'll blizzard. It blizzards every
Midwest Gaming Classic, yeah. Since they stopped having it in summer, yeah. So yeah, if maybe I'll try and say hi if you're hanging out in one of the homebrew rooms or somewhere else there.
Mm-hmm.
And Athena was a game that was also rental for me, and I just remember it being weird. Like it's clearly a bad game. I guess was it originally like a Neo Geo game or something? Or
well,
like
it's SNK. Yeah, it's SNK. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was originally an arcade game that I think was probably good as an arcade game, and I don't know what happened in the home translation. It's bizarre. It's very disjointed. It's dizzying at times. At one point you get a sword that like attacks the entire screen, if I remember right. Have you played this game?
I rented it, and I think I played it a few times, and I was like, this is a fail. I'm not going to play this for the rest of the rental.
Oh, yeah, this was a tough one. I'll get the next email here from which I read 4 weeks ago and now I've forgotten about. From Majors talking about using T1 at the office while still having dial-up at home. And yeah, he mentions he had one of his early jobs had an ISDN connection that had a blazing speed of 128 kb per s. Yeah.
I had one of those.
Yeah. Talk about prices on eBay also, and that a lot of sellers artificially increase, put up fake prices to artificially inflate the games, so they can sell other ones. Like, here's one thing I noticed about silly prices on eBay. I was selling I had like an Apple II game. I think it was Might and Magic 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw someone was selling it for like $200, right? And I'm like, oh, I'll put it out there for like $50, see what happens. And I got something in that vicinity for it. Mm-hmm. And the guy that bought it was the guy also was trying to sell it for $200.
Oh, jeez. That's funny.
So, yeah. Hope. I look forward to finding it at his estate sale one day. So what else here? Devil's Crush. He mentioned Xenotilt.
I'll have to check that one out. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks very inspired by it.
Oh, I've played Demon's Tilt, yeah. So I haven't played Xenotilt.
Okay. It looks like the same type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Rob watching Cloak and Dagger on HBO. Oh, yes. He remembers it being on HBO in heavy rotation where you could like leave in the morning and come home in the afternoon and pick up where you left off because they just ran it all day.
Yep.
And they also did that with Empire Strikes Back for a while.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Mentions, okay, so Game Club Games. He had Neutopia in 91 and thought it was a prettier version of Legend of Zelda. But he was not a big Legend of Zelda fan, so he didn't, I guess, have anything to compare off. He thinks Neutopia 2 improves on the game by having diagonal movements and better graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pilotwings. Says he's recently going through the Super Nintendo library alphabetically.
Wow.
It seems like that's an interesting choice. He also said he was not very good at it and could never make it through the rings or land the parachute.
Well, this was like 4 weeks ago at least. So I wonder what letter he's on now. If he's on P.
Yeah, I mean he's got to be. Well, the problem is on the Super Nintendo, S is like 40% of the catalog.
Yeah, true. You're right. SU is like
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I worked in a game store right during this time, and we were supposed to organize the games alphabetically. So this is true, and that was always the debate where like one like section of that, like when you got down to the S, it was just like everything piled on top of each other because everything was super something.
So when you did alphabetical, did you use was the for T or?
That was I didn't write about this in my article at Work at the Game Store. That was a frequent source of conflict between employees. I mean, people almost came to blows over whether Legend of Zelda should be under T or L.
Where do you land on that?
I would put it under L.
Okay.
That's where I put it, because most people drop the when they refer to a game title anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
From Brian, he says, really enjoyed the episode about Starcade. It reminded him of a book he had as a kid called How to Master Video Games. So he grew up in a small town without a ton of arcade games. But he remembers reading the book, so when he did see one, he could, he could actually succeed at it. And then he gives us a link to a copy of the book on archive.org. When he mentioned this book, I thought I owned this book, but when I see the cover, I don't have this one. I have I have a book with virtually the same title.
Mm-hmm.
But in the 80s, I mean, how many books with this title were made?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's got like these sort of hand-drawn pictures of the screens.
I feel like this book was in one of the magazine reads we did, like an ad for it.
Yeah, I'm sure. He never played Cloak and Dagger, but did watch the movie a lot. And it makes him think of Elevator Action, which was one of his favorite games as a kid. He found out from Googling it that there was recently an Elevator Action Tribute Edition on Steam. Although it's currently $15, which by Steam prices is, that's pretty high.
Yeah, wait for the summer sale.
Yeah, it'll be like 8 cents.
Yeah.
What I like about this video game book right here, I flipped to the end. It has like a listing of addresses of all the game companies.
Nice.
Like if you wanted to send Data East a letter.
That's awesome. Very useful.
Yeah. Let's see. Jason writes in to say he loved the Throat and Neck episodes. I'm glad someone did. And it said it reminds him of a show that was on called TV Pow with like 4 W's.
Mm-hmm.
I think this had to be a local show. It looks like a Heaven's Gate video is what it looks like. Like the woman in this video looks like she's going to eventually have us take cyanide or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was it looks like they're playing an Intellivision game. And they said, wait, what did he say? Like you would call up and yell "pow" to shoot the enemies. And press buttons on the screen. Probably because it's old enough that some people still have dial phones, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
So this show is creeping me out. I watched this video and it's only 3 minutes long, but it feels like it's 3 hours. Did you watch the video he sent?
No, not yet.
Oh. It's weird.
And Adam writes in, thanking Hugh for talking about Live Alive, I think is the way it's pronounced. He picked that up, and he also picked up Metroid Prime Remaster. He played through the prehistoric and Wild West chapters and really enjoyed them. It feels like a modern title with the dual analog controls and graphically upgraded. Also want to comment on the GBA emulation recent release for the Switch. It looks and plays wonderfully, and he's enjoying Minish Cap again. He's also been playing a lot of Kaboom, which I know was a Hugh pick for Game Club, and Tempest 4000, not 2000, on the PS4. Both games are better if you let go your desire to master the gameplay and just kind of zone out in a Zen state of consciousness. And he's enjoyed both over the years. So yeah, thank you everyone for all that feedback. I know that was 5 weeks of feedback, but yeah, please keep it coming. We love reading those emails. And we didn't really butcher them this time. I think we maybe we need 4 weeks to read emails and really get ready.
Most of them I read like 3 weeks ago and forgot they existed. I've been getting very used to not reading emails for a while. There's a lot of social media feedback. I'm just going to call out some highlights because I don't want to read all these because it's a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's some very good comments. It's just I'm going to kind of choose my.
Yeah, we're running out of time. That's why.
Yeah. So it's a disappointing video game rentals. Someone mentions Taboo for the NES.
Yeah.
Someone mentions Baby Boomer. Which I don't know if you played that. It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Bill and Ted. Someone mentions renting Barney's Hide and Seek when he was too old for it. Heroes of the Lance for Nintendo. Any good ones here. Krusty's Fun House.
I haven't played that one.
It's confusing. So confusing. I think it's supposed to be like a Lemmings game.
Okay.
Try it sometime. Maybe you can make it a pick if you want, but yeah, it's confusing. Deadly Towers got a nod in there.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, yeah. For travel consoles, there's a shout out for a small Android device called the Anberic RG350M. I do not know this.
Don't know it. No.
GP2X, someone has. Natu from Doodle World. We want to mention there's some Doodle World news. I don't know how much of that has been announced, but did you see Limited Run Games is doing a printing of Doodle World?
That's great. Yeah.
So if you did not manage to get one during the Kickstarter, get one from Limited Run Games, man. That game is totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
He also, but anyways, PSP gets a nod there. Someone mentioned bring their GameCube with them when they traveled.
It has a handle. It's tiny. It has a handle. Yeah.
You can put an LCD screen on it.
Yeah.
A few of these we already talked about. Someone, I don't believe this is serious, talks about the PDP-10 mainframe as a travel system.
Oh, it's mini, right? It's a mini computer. St. John mentions Steam Deck, which I'm surprised he was the first. So does Cyber Knees or Scrooge. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry.
Yes. And then other feedback, someone mentions they really liked Video Power, and that's how they learned that the Neo Geo existed.
Oh, yeah. I tried to find the Neo Geo episode, but I had trouble finding that one. So please feel free to link me to it if you find it anywhere.
And then someone going through older episodes was identifying a picture we posted. I don't remember posting this picture. I mean, I assume Zach did. It was from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. We shared some photos. I mean, the listener probably Major sent us the photos, or someone sent us the photos.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Eric. Eric from it's Eric from Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Would have been the person to send us the Portland Retro Gaming Expo photos. And one of them, someone on social media, I think, or maybe email, was identifying one of the photos. It's just commenting that one of these photos is a Super Prologue 21, which is a karaoke machine by Sega. I think when we looked at it, we're like, I don't know, maybe it's a dev kit.
Yeah.
But now that I look at it more closely, karaoke machine certainly fits a lot better.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. I've never seen one of those in person, or if I did, I blanked on it.
Yeah. There was a ton of great social and email feedback. If anyone wants to write us, check out our link tree in the show notes. Email us at email@retrogameclub.net. That is email@retrogameclub.net. If you've played Pac-Mania, POW, Pilotwings, Neutopia, if you are going to compile Symphony of the Night or A Link to the Past, if you think, what other news did we have here? If you're going to compile Lisa source code, or if you're going to go to KFest and stay at a random Airbnb with people staring at you, please email us. email@retrogameclub.net.
Yeah. Are there retro game stores in Kansas City? I'm going to look at this later. Okay.
Yeah, we can. I'm sure. I wonder if we have any listeners there. If
we have to. It's a major city, right? I mean, they just.
Yeah, but we're not a major podcast.
I know, but there's a lot of people there. And, it's a big enough city to have like a football team. So I'm surprised. I'm just shocked by the lack of hotels. But they have a lot of game shops. Look at that.
Like retro or?
Well, there's a place called Vintage Stock.
Okay.
Level 1 game shop. Looks like a board game store more than anything else. Something called Level Up Arena. I'm really curious what that is. Most of what comes up are like used CD stores, which you sometimes have good game selections.
Yeah. But does that wrap up the first episode in 6 weeks?
Yes, finally.
All right, we'll see you guys in a week or two.
Yeah, thanks for listening.